In this video, we're going to continue our talk about algebra basics. We're going to talk about translations in algebra. First, let's do a quick review about some vocabulary. Some of these vocabulary words we've already talked about, but we want to also talk about some other key words. Sum is the result of an addition expression. Difference is the result of a subtraction expression. A product is the result of a multiplication expression, and a quotient is the result of addition expression. Algebraic expression is simply a combination of terms separated by addition or subtraction. But again, we can simplify that by saying addition, where the subtraction comes from the fact that we have a negative coefficient. A term is simply the product of numbers and or variables. In other words, the result of a multiplication. A variable is a letter representing an unknown quantity, and a coefficient is a numerical portion of a term. For example, in the value of 3x, then the 3 would be seen as the coefficient. What are translations? Translations are simply mathematical statements that are written as from phrases. So when you are translating from English to math or from math to English, we are translating what we have. Some keywords that go with the different operations. For addition, we have words like sum, increased by, more than, plus, added to, or total. When it comes to subtraction, we have the words of difference, decreased by, subtracted from, less, and minus. When it comes to the product, or the multiplication, we have product multiplied by, of, times, and specifically twice. We also could say thrice. We could say thrice is another way of saying 3 times. We have quotient. And this is one way you can show the quotient, but we could also show it a different way. We say the quotient is also division symbol or even a fraction bar. Both of these would be considered seen as division. And division could be seen as quotient divided by, ratio, or per, and the equal sign. The equal sign we haven't discussed yet. That'll be more when we talk about the next video about linear equations or algebraic equations. But if you see an equal sign, then we're talking about is, total, or a result. We could also say the word yields is another way of saying equals. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at some examples and translate from the English phrase to the mathematical. So let's look at some examples. 5 more than 3 times the number is 8. What we're going to do is we're going to look at some key words here. Let's see, let's do purple. No, purple doesn't work. Yellow. We see that we have the words more than, times, and is. So we know from here, from our previous slide, that more than deals with addition, times deals with multiplication, and is deals with equals. So right now I have plus, times, and equals. Now we fill in the other pieces. 5 is simply 5. 3 times the number. When we have the number and we don't know what it is, we have to use a variable. For many problems, that variable is either x or n. When you're doing your homework, pay attention to what variable they want you to use. In this case, we'll use x. Is 8. So the expression or the statement 5 more than 3 times the number is 8 is the same as 5 plus 3 times x equals 8. That's it. Let's look at the next one. The quotient of a number and 9 subtracted by 10 is -2. Here we have the quotient. And we have subtracted by, and we have is. Again, we have equals. Subtracted is minus. Now we have quotient. What are we dividing? Quotient means to divide, so the question is, what are we dividing? Well, we're finding the quotient of a number and 9, which means I am dividing a number by 9. So again, we'll use the variable x this time, again, and we're going to divide that by 9. And we're going to subtract by 10, and that's going to be -2. Now, this division here can be written differently. We could have used the other sign, such as this division sign, or we could have used the slash. Whichever one you use, as long as you're indicating division, it'll be correct. Pay attention to the order, though, of division. Division and subtraction, the order matters. Let's look at number 3. The difference of 6 and a number is the sum of the number and 10. Notice the subtle difference between a number and the number. What this suggests is that the number is the same. We'll let that be n this time. Now we highlight the keywords difference, sum, and is. So we have equals here. Now what's equaling each other? The difference of 6 and a difference is equal to a sum. So we're going to minusing, equaling some sort of sum, where difference is subtraction, the difference is subtraction, and the sum is addition. Now the question becomes, what are we subtracting? Here we're doing 6 minus the number. On this side we're doing the number and 10. Finally, for number 4, the total of a number is -1, multiplied by 6 is 12. Here we have total multiplied by and is. So we have equals. Now on the other side of equals is 12, so we know we'll go ahead and write 12. Now we have to find the total of a number -1 multiplied by 6. Notice here that we have a comma. Let's see if I can make that right there. That means that this entire expression is being multiplied by 6. That suggests that we are going to be using parentheses. So the total is going to be a sum, and we're going to add a number. We'll use n this time, and -1, but the entire thing is going to be multiplied by 6. Notice the parentheses that we put in here. But that's the answer. So pay attention to when you have to multiply. If translations are tricky, think about putting in numbers and what the result is. If we do 5 more than 3 times 7, we would do 3 times 7 first and then add 5. If we were to do the quotient of 36 and 9 subtracted from 10, we would have to do the larger number divided by 9. Let's do some more complicated examples. The product of a number and 7 added to the quotient of the same number and 5 results in 15. So we have product, we have added to, the quotient, and results. If we break this down, results in 15 is going to be equal to 15. The product, what are we multiplying together? The number and 7. But since we're adding the quotient, another expression, we're going to go ahead and write the added product and the quotient in parentheses. So we're going to do the product of number and 7. So we'll do 7 and x for our number this time. And we're going to add that to the quotient of the same number and 5, which is that same number and 5. And that results in 15. Putting the parentheses down is important because we want to make sure that the product is completed and the quotient is completed before we do the addition. Now the next one. Twice the difference of a number and 3 plus twice the sum of a number and 6 equals 8 added to the number divided by 9. There's a lot going on here, so we break it up into our pieces. We have twice, that means times 2. Difference, which means subtraction. Plus, which means add. Twice again, which is 2 times. Sum, which is another plus. Equals, which is equals. Added, divided. Okay, let's do the first half. We're going to do 2 times the difference. Since we are multiplying a difference by 2, we have to have parentheses. We'll use n this time for our number. Now we're going to add 2 times the sum. So now we're going to go ahead and do the number again in parentheses. This is going to equal 8 added to the number divided by 9. Okay? 8 added to the number divided by 9. Since there are no commas, we can't separate this using parentheses. So we're just going to write it as is. 8 added to the number divided by 9. If we had said 8 equals 8, comma, added to the number divided by 9, we might have to use parentheses. If we said 8 added to the quotient of a number and 9, we would definitely have to write it in parentheses. Otherwise, that would be our answer. Why are translations important? When we get to applications in algebra, we have to be able to translate a written situation or event into mathematics so we can use math to solve the problem. So you have to be proficient in translating English into math. Math alone is its own language with its own symbols and its own meanings. It's our job to be able to translate between the two. All right, I want you to pause the video, give yourself some time to practice translation these. Okay, hopefully you've practiced, and I want you to bring these with you to class because we're going to go over them in class.